Well, hello there. This is Aurora with Supercharged Science, and we are getting ready here. Hello, that's not me. There we go. Hi. All right, so I know it's a few minutes before the top of the hour, but this is an opportunity for us to have a chat. This is just for parents, not for kids. Well, I mean, kids can watch it, but it's just going to be about parenting, homeschooling, even if you're not a homeschooler, just parenting issues. So hello, welcome. My name's Aurora. I am with Supercharged Science and the brand new Supercharged Math, which launched last year. And my husband and I have been running a publishing company for about 20 years now, and we publish educational content for schools, for parents, for homeschoolers, you name it. Anybody who's interested in learning math and science, that's what we do. And it's for grades K all the way through 12th, just in case you're wondering if we've never met before. I have 4 kids, and I'm happy to announce 2 of them are in college. They are in one of the top engineering universities in the United States. So proud, right? Proud mama moment. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm wondering about how to, well, you'll pretty much know my emails. So if you have, I'm looking to see if the chat got enabled because I'm not seeing it here. Okay, so let me see if I can add that once we're here. Yes. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna re-enable the chat. So if you could all just hit refresh in just a second. Okay, there you go. Hit refresh right now. I won't say anything important. Hit refresh on your screen right now, and you should have a chat that pops up. And if it does, can you drop me a note letting me know that you're here? Just say hi. That would be great. I'm already seeing lots of emails coming in, so people contact me a lot through email as well. All right, should we get started? Okay, so I'll put my email up there. All right, so hello and welcome. My name's Aurora with Supercharged Science, and I have 4 kids. The youngest is 10, and the oldest is 21. And as I mentioned, I've got a freshman now and a senior studying engineering at Cal Poly State, and I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. So I'm still in it. I still have kids. My husband and I, we started this back in 1999. It wasn't a publishing company back then. It was Aurora going around the country teaching other people's kids company. So anyway, so it's been lots of fun all over these years. We've been around for a long time. I actually got my start teaching mechanical engineering at Cal Poly State, and so that's what I had done for a long time. And I'm realizing the little barrette I put in, you can kind of see it here. I know I don't usually wear things like this on screen, so I'll take it off because it's going to annoy me. All right, hello, the chat works. Yay, excellent. Wonderful. So for those of you that are new to the program, I have actually been teaching live online classes since 2010, so way before COVID. And back then, it was on the phone. Can you imagine? Okay, students, today we're going to be wiring up your circuits. Okay, take the red wire, that's right, coming out of the battery pack and putting it on the motor. Okay, make sure the motor tab is positive. It was so much fun. And if the kids had questions, they would hit *6 and ask me questions. And so we've been doing this for a long time. And so back before there were slides, before there was video. So we are not a new kid on the block. All right. So what is new, and that's what I wanted to chat about with you. This is an Ask Aurora Anything opportunity for you. What is new is, for a long time, we've only taught math with science, and so those were always coupled together because math is the language of science. However, we realized there's a lot of need before for students to just focus on math. So this is now our second year. Last year was our very first year teaching math. We had overwhelming response, just how amazing it is, because we teach it from a science standpoint. And so, for example, we'll do science labs, and then we're doing the math, and then we're also the math skills and concepts, and then we're applying them immediately. So students get to see what that looks like. And having taught in the university environment makes it even more unique because I can show you how math is going to be used once you get to high school and college. So we're doing a lot. So that's for grades 4th. And then I was saying through 8th, but to be honest, we have high schoolers that are using the program. So, all right, so that's a little bit of background. You are welcome to ask me absolutely anything. I'm going to leave it wide open. If you could keep it to math, science, parenting, and kids, that would be great. And I already have about 30 questions in the queue, so if you would like to, not on the YouTube because I just enabled that, but questions that have been coming in, I get questions every single week, and so usually I see a theme. So let me just say off the top of the, off the bat that if, while you're typing your question in, if you've been on our math classes, you probably, and probably not just with us, but with other people as well, you'll notice that maybe Zoom isn't working as well as it has in the past. And so we've been experiencing that as well. And we do have a solution. I'll be sending you a private email with a little private video explaining what changes we're going to be making. But just know that if you've been in class and it's felt disruptive, it's not you. Apparently there were some apps that were released over the summer and that actually through the schools. And so if a student has a school account that they now have, can override my host controls. And so I was been up late quite a few nights trying to figure this out with my programmers, and we have a handle on it. And so we are going to be changing how we teach classes so it is not disruptive, so it is nice and smooth like it's always been. I've got a separate video that's going to be coming out for you over the weekend that will explain it. So it's easy. It's just a different link. And so we will not be using Zoom for some classes. Brian's class is going to use Zoom. Leah's study hall today is using Zoom. The classes that are small are great, but Zoom is no longer a good platform for larger classes. So I will explain everything in that. Just know that we have got it handled. And if you see anything that isn't right, you're always going to let me know right away so we can stay on top of it. Yes. And if somebody's asking, yes, we do have a zero tolerance policy. So that means if a student is disruptive, we do remove them from class and they cannot join for the entire year. So it just makes it easier for everyone to handle that quickly up front and to make effective use of that. Okay, here we go. I'm seeing questions pop in. Yay! And I'm also seeing my email getting clogged up. Perfect. Okay, great. So here we go. You guys ready? Okay, so math classes. My question to you is, how is it going? How is it going specifically? Let me put a little frame around that. So think about what your goals are for your kids this year, and think about what your current struggles have been with math, either before or even beginning to use our program, and then let me know about that. So what are the challenges specifically that you're facing with math, and so math and science, and what do you, if you can give me a little frame around that in your question, then I can help with that as well. But yeah, you're welcome to ask me anything. I see somebody wants to get their kid to clean their room. That one's easy. That one's actually easy. It's a one line. You just say, feel free to keep everything that you pick up by bedtime. That's it. No power struggle, no nothing. But then you got to be willing to go in there with a Goodwill trash bag. And so, yeah, so I'll talk about that. I actually have some parenting books here I was going to share with you as well. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and start off the top. So let's see, I talked about that. Do you have a pencil and a piece of paper? So I have some parenting resources. Looks like a lot of questions that are coming in are parenting. Yeah, boy, parenting, it doesn't come with a manual, does it? So yeah, okay, so my husband just asked me, don't usually take algebra and geometry in high school. Yes. No, that's a great question, Sarah. Let's go ahead and handle that one. The answer is, it depends. Traditionally, yes. In high school, they offer, most public high schools you will find for freshmen available, Algebra 1 or geometry, so either one. Okay, and so very rarely will you have a freshman going to Algebra 2, but it can happen if a student's a little bit ahead, right? Okay, so what we do with our classes is we do offer a full Algebra 1 course, and if you are ready for it, how do you know you're ready? I'll tell you in a second. Then you can take that course. And so our Algebra course includes pre-algebra. So it includes, we're actually finishing that up right now. So really what, you know your student is ready for algebra if they can do all 4 operations. So we're talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And they can do that not just with whole numbers, 2, 3, 5, 100, but they can also do it with fractions, they can do it with decimals, and they're comfortable and fluent in going from a fraction to a decimal and back. And also that they can do percent and ratio, and they're comfortable with that. 50% is the same as 1/2, is the same as 0.50. For example, it's an easy one. And so if they're comfortable with that, then we're ready to start some operations on integers, and we're starting to introduce the idea of variables. And so It's up to you if you would like to do it. Now, if you want to hold off and just do geometry for grades 7 and 8, that's fine. If you look at the Common Core for grades 7 and 8, it is algebra. It's an easier, I should say, it's like an introduction to algebra that they drag out for 2 years. And so we could do that. But instead I thought, why not just make it clear, concise, you know exactly what you're getting. And if you need to take your time and spread it over 2 years, you absolutely can. So it's going to be up to you. So I wanted to give you the option. So if when your student finishes with us, they will be able to either go into an Algebra 1 course, but really that's what we've been doing. Or if your high school offers geometry for freshmen, that's a good spot for them to go into. Often the high school will have an assessment that they can take, and so that's what you want to use. Okay, good question. And so, yeah, and that's the beauty of homeschooling, right? Because students are going to, some students are reading at this level, but then their writing skills are back here, but the math skills are way back there, right? So we don't have them all perfect, education's not a race. And so for students that are ready, we have that content available. If you're looking for a high school recommendation, I see that, email me directly and I'll email you the link to Jason's program. We have a colleague who's been doing it just as long as we have. He's got outstanding content for high school and also for college. Okay, it is helpful separately, behind in math, but not science, for middle school science. Yeah, exactly what I was just saying. Perfect, Heather. Yep. So it depends. Kids are all over the map, and this is where it gets tricky because they'll say, yeah, I know that. But then when it comes time to do it, they don't necessarily got it, right? So, yeah, and they're also all over the map just because how education is being handled these days. So, for example, a student may understand decimals, but their fraction skills are terrible. And if you put a decimal in a fraction, they're completely lost. So we want to make sure we handle all of that. So if we have 9th and 10th graders working through the grades 4, 5, and 6 program, just to let you know, even though it says grades 4, 5, and 6, that's just based on standards, what they call those skills, like when those get taught. And if you talk to most, for example, a lot of public school teacher friends that I have right now, almost every single one, I want to say 95% of them are saying the kids I have in public school right now are so behind. In fact, I have some that are grades 7 and 8, and she's saying, I have to go back and teach 4th grade skills just because there's so much missing. So we want to make sure that's not the case. So when you start our program, start with fractions and then work through it. And because it's a self-paced program, your student can test out of certain areas, but then still get the depth that they need. Okay, good. My daughter is loving your math and science. You're amazing. Aw, thank you. Okay, great. What are the books next to you? I can't wait. Okay, all right, let's do it. So like I said, you can ask me anything. And I see a lot of parenting questions come in, so we're going to move to that. Okay, so here we go. You ready for some of my favorite books? So having 4 kids, let me pre-frame this. It was just me. It was me and my husband. Didn't have anybody to help. Once in a while we had babysitters, but it was on us. And so there's a blessing in there in that we had a clean slate and we had no idea how to parent, right? So what did we do? Being the academics we are, we went to the bookshelves. I must have checked out every library book back then. Okay, the one I don't have here, I'll just give you the title for. I couldn't find it in my bookshelf. I must have loaned it to somebody. It's called Simplicity Parenting. It's a newer book. It has a lot of the same key concepts. This is the main book, though. This was written in the 70s. I've actually met her. I sat next to her at a book conference one time. So this is Jane Nelson. It's called Positive Discipline. You can see how old, frayed, and worn and so water damaged mine is, just because I would keep my parenting books in the bathroom. And so whenever I needed a break, I would go in there, I'd put it up on a high shelf, and I would just sit there. I wouldn't necessarily need to go, but I would sit there and I'd look up, okay, and I'd highlight and I'd circle things. And then I'd put it on index cards, stick it in my back pocket if I needed some one-liners, because my brain used to go blank with parenting. So Positive Discipline is where a lot of books and gurus now, do you call them gurus? I don't know. Parenting books and parenting, that's where they get their stuff. So she's a researcher, and she worked with a lot of kids, and which I absolutely love. Their stuff got repackaged as Love and Logic later when, what was his name? Clay Fay, I forget his first name. Charles Fay, that was it. has fantastic stuff. This is for ages 0 through 6 years. It's called Love and Logic. This one's out of print, but you can probably still find it on like eBay and stuff. For early childhood, even though it says through age 6, I still use these one-liners on my kids. So it'll give you situations and then how to handle it. The main premise, I've got some other ones. When kids leave you speechless, does that ever happen? Okay, positive discipline for teens. So these are fantastic. I like these because they have case studies and they will also walk you through it. So the author was a principal in a middle school. And the main premise behind Love and Logic, if you're not familiar with it, is you are modeling how good behavior and how to take care of yourself. So, for example, I was sharing with my son this morning. He was asking about, how would you handle this situation, Mom, if you were a parent? And I'm like, oh, actually, I have. Kids fighting in the back seat, right? I had young kids. That always happens, no matter how great your kids are. The idea behind these books, though, is you want your family rowing together. Overall, right? Yeah, we got our internal squabbles. I mean, that happens when people live together, right? That's just normal. But in general, you want everybody rowing together and working towards a common goal. And so this helps you do that, and it takes the power out of the power struggle. And one of the main premises is I don't tell my kids what to do. I tell them what I will do. So I only drive the car when it's quiet and peaceful. So I'm not telling my kids not to fight. In fact, they were arguing, and they just happened to argue when I was going past an ice cream store. Wouldn't you know it? I live in a small town, so there wasn't I wasn't like leaving them locked in a parked car in the middle of a big city. So we, rolled up, literally, right? And the door is like 1 foot in front. And I went in, and I just got myself an ice cream. I had a book in my hand, and I sat on the hood, and I enjoyed that ice cream. I said, I don't drive the car when it's noisy. But I also have empathy. It's not a power struggle of like, you're being, I don't know what to even call kids. It's just like you're doing this on purpose, right? Just to annoy me. And that may be true, but also I've had my hard days, and I'm like, oh, that's so sad. That's such a bummer that we're not able to enjoy this time together. And for that, I'm truly sad, and I need to stay in that state. And I also need to say, and I need to take care of myself right now. And that's what this looks like. And also, I sat on the hood, enjoyed that ice cream. Oh, it was amazing. You've never seen two kids be quieter faster, let me tell you. And so I will tell them, for example, I'll tell them what they can do, what I will do, and how I will take care of things. And I also am showing them that their behavior doesn't stress me out. I'm totally fine with it. I can handle it. And that gives kids such a sense of security. By the way, this is how I teach my classes. Hint, hint, hint. And so somebody's asking about the clean up your room thing. Yes. And so you have to make sure it's something that you're willing to follow through with. So, for example, my kids do their own laundry, personally. And if the laundry is out of the washer and dryer by 8 o'clock, they get to keep it. If not, it goes in a bag, and I put it in the garage, and then it goes on the next trip to Goodwill. Because isn't that how a regular laundromat would handle it? So that's how I want to make sure my kids are prepared for the real world, and there's no power struggle. It's not me against them. It's like, oh, and in the morning you'll see, in fact, I had my teenager before he moved out, he was like, I forgot to take out my laundry. I'm like, and I was really sad for him. I was like, I'm so sorry. That's such a bummer. And it wasn't like, oh, bummer. It was like, I've lost things too, and I totally understand. I'm so sorry. So anyway, so if that's helpful to you somehow, and you can use it with studies as well when you're studying something. You're welcome to stay in class as long as you are focused and participating and not bugging other kids, that kind of thing. And so just modeling this behavior of yes, this is how I take care of myself, this is how I handle things, this is how I do life. This is all, kids are learning from us, whether we want them to or not. When we're angry and we're upset and we are trying to control things with anger, they're learning that may be an effective tool sometimes, and then they're gonna go ahead and use that. So I wanna make sure I'm modeling really good, healthy things. Last book for you, probably my favorite. Those of you who are familiar with Stephen Covey, this is him when he was alive. This is so he did the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Amazing, amazing book. And it was all based on case studies because he was a researcher, as you know. And he just loved people. He was fascinated by how people do things and why they do the things they do. And he only wrote his book after years and years and years of study, which I appreciate coming from a university background. He has one called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. And our family has worked through this many, many, many times. And lots of really good content in here if this is something you're interested in. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, all right, more questions are coming in. Let me check the chat first here. Chat works, okay. We have been sneaking fractions in while cooking and baking. Can he just go straight to intermediate? Yes, of course. So Heather, remember this program is, it's for you. And so I put the beginner level is just for the math program. It's just introducing the concept. And then if your student already knows the concept, which most of them do after just a half an hour with me, then they've kind of worked past that. Now it's time to just practice that a little bit in the workbooks and then dive straight into intermediate. So if your student is feeling hesitation, like, no, I'm still a beginner, challenge them a little bit and say, hey, you know that, I understand that, and could you just see what you think about this activity? Just kind of slip it in there, maybe a puzzle or a maze or a game or something. And then that's just more practice. And real life practice in fractions is fantastic. Take them to the grocery store with you. The grocery store ones we do, my favorite ones are doing a spelling bee because they can look up the word, like how do you spell asparagus? How do you spell mayonnaise, right? And if they don't know it, they have to go find it in the grocery store and report back to me. It's also fantastic when we get to decimals. There are some scavenger hunts in there. What is the better deal? This can for $2.99 or 3 cans for, $4.99, depending on the ounces. So yes, make it practical because you want to demonstrate where you're going to use this stuff for real. Okay, great. Other questions? So according to the schedule, follows fractions, decimals. Okay, so yes, so the spring has not been released yet. We're still putting that together. And so, Jessica, what we're planning to do for fall in the live, remember, you don't have to participate live. Live is just for students that want to participate and want that live interaction with a teacher where they ask a question, they get an immediate answer instead of just by email. And we're also capturing those recordings and putting them on the website, and they are right below the parent video as we work through the entire program. So for grades 4 through 6, the first 7 weeks, so where we are right now is fractions, and then the next 7 weeks is going to be decimals, and then we have our winter break, and we're going to come back and we're going to do percent, and then depending on how the students do for fall, hint, hint, that's why we haven't published it yet, we might do a quick refresher of fractions and decimals. Again, it's only our second year doing it. First year was generating the program. Second year is now we're teaching the program. So this is new for us. So your feedback is highly encouraged. So we may do a review, or we may move straight into our geometry series, which is brand new, isn't on the website yet. That's going to be released. There are new workbooks coming, new activities. Some of them, we started geometry last year and then we ran out of time. So we're going to start with that, and then there will be much more onto it. And then we're going to end with a pre-algebra course. Okay, so either pre-algebra comes first and then geometry, or geometry and pre-algebra. I'm not exactly sure. It depends on how the students do in fall and where they are, and the work that I see that gets turned in for the math prize drawings. It gives me also a gauge, and also your feedback will give me a gauge as well. The geometry we're doing, good question, it does not include algebra. So this is non-algebra geometry. Did that all make sense? Oh, I hope so. Okay, so that's how we're going to be doing things. So it's not just percent for spring. There's just not that much. In fact, it is a stretch. Percent only takes us 3 or 4 weeks. We stretch it to 7 because we're going to include personal finance and business math in the same in percent, because it's also a great review of fractions and decimals. So it's kind of already built in there. So that's where we're headed. Does that help? Okay, great. All right, so let's see. My 12-year-old doesn't have a strong foundation of basic math facts. It affects her confidence. Yes. I want to say 70% of the parents let us know that, I should say this. Okay, so there is a survey on week 3 or 4, I think, in the program where you as a parent, as you go through the program, I think it's in fractions, you get to fill that out and tell us. And so we have, I want to say 1,500 responses, maybe 1,700, which is a good sample size. Based on that survey from you parents, voluntarily survey, with that survey, what we have found is 70% of the time, students, they're finding their students, it's a confidence issue. It is not a technical skill issue. So if a student is struggling with math and the parents are like, I don't know why they're not getting it. What they're finding is, as they work through our program, that they're realizing it's confidence. It's not that their student isn't smart. It isn't that they just don't have the ability to understand. So 70%, it's a confidence thing, which is why we structure the program the way we do, which is why I'm there step by step in all the live video or all the video recordings, working through, encouraging the students, just do a little bit, just try a little bit more. And then also, we do have more challenging things in the advanced section, because that's also a confidence builder. When your kids can do something really hard, and suddenly they stack that on top of something else that they do, and on something else that they do, and pretty soon they're like, wow, this is amazing. So that's why in the start here area, the parent area, it'll say, we only want you to work with your students for 4 to, I want to say, like if it's just the live classes they participate, we're fine with that for the first few weeks. That's fine. Especially if they get a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to math. So we just want them to enjoy doing math, so they'll come back and do more, because we're after it for the long run. The other thing is that often students, and I talked about this extensively in our last chat, the way they prefer to take in information and get their aha moments is a mismatch from how the teacher is delivering the information. So if you want, I can link and you can learn more about that. We talked extensively about the 4 modes of communication. There's more than 4, but the 4 main modes people have, and how we have a preference for one. And if you deliver it in one that they don't have a preference for, you ever had somebody give you like instructions and you're like, huh, what? Not because you weren't paying attention, but just you really were trying, but you're like, I just don't get it. Yeah, okay, so they were delivering in a mode that you have a different preference for. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just you have to be aware of that as a teacher, so you deliver in all 4 modes simultaneously, so you catch most of the students. So it makes sense. Okay, how was that? Is that okay? So feel free to let me know if that answers the question or not, because we are on YouTube and not Zoom. All right, so, and I'm imagining your beautiful faces smiling at me right now. Okay, let's see, a strong foundation for math. So we do have an arithmetic review on every single page on the bottom. Do you want me to share? How about I point something out, and I have that ability because I have this very robust platform here. Okay, so let's go to my math program, which is here. Okay, so this is the math program. And you scroll down to any page on the bottom, let me make it bigger, on the bottom, do you see where it says bonus math resources? So click that. And, oh, I know, the mouse gets canceled sometimes. Let me put it back on. Okay, and do you see where it says, if you need help with multiplication, here's a video, here's a worksheet. If you need an arithmetic review, this is an hour-long video. So this page is full of them. If 12s are, tripping up your students, how do you deal with that? How they want to do it in their mind, but they can't. How do we do that? So this whole page is packed with extra videos to go on top of that. I would say students in general, the question about how do I know my kid is ready for your program, they are ready when they can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of whole numbers. Then they're ready. And they've got most of that multiplication table down. If that multiplication table is a struggling point, just print it out. Have it right in front of them during class. Put it on the inside cover of their binder, the clear part, and it's a reference sheet if they need it. And pretty soon, you're going to find your students are so frustrated with having to look it up every time, they're just going to memorize it. So, and so that can happen too. All right, questions are coming. If your student can move through tough areas quickly, are there videos available to watch that further the process than the posted videos after a live session? Let me make sure I understand right. So if they've already moved through the advanced, okay, so how the program is set up if you're new is, here, let's just go to a section. Here, we'll go to fractions. Here, we'll go to one we haven't gone to yet. Say your student is familiar with fractions and they've tested out of the workbook. They've taken the 2-page test at the back of the workbook that you all should be aware of that exists right now. Okay, there are videos on the workbook here if your student needs it, but they've tested out of it. And they've done some of the intermediate content, and that's easy for them, okay? So what they do now is they go to fractions number 5, fractions session 6, fractions section 7, and then finish all the beginner intermediate, and then they circle back to fractions 1 advanced, fractions 2 advanced, fractions 3 advanced, because the advanced section builds on itself week to week to week, or session to session to session. And it assumes you already know how to deal with fractions. And so fractions session number 1 advanced assumes you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of fractions already, even though it's only session number 1. So that's why we say finish beginner and intermediate and then just go through the advanced section. And if your student is done with that, they're done with fractions. They have more than they need. And you should be working on a different area. So you don't have to stay with the live class schedule, is what I mean to say. Okay, does that help? Okay, thank you for answering. Same question as Lisa. Did that help, Lisa? Okay, so yes, and so don't feel like you've got to keep with the live class schedule. The content, so we did 2.5 to 3 hours of teaching just the live class recordings last year, and then I split them up and put them all on the website. So that's what's there this time. And some weeks the advanced sections are much longer. For example, I think there's one week that has 5 to 8 hours of video just in one of the sessions of the advanced section. So sometimes they're lighter and sometimes they're heavier. So it just depends on what labs we're doing that week. Okay, good. If a student, let's see, hi Aurora, my 2 children are very much enjoying the program. Thank you. My daughter, who is 8, is new to fractions and is doing extras pages saying, my online teacher said. That's cute. Because I was just trying to mentally prepare what's coming my way. So far, we've eaten ice cream week 1, pizza week 2, and have cookies scheduled for tomorrow. Yeah, I didn't mean to. Okay. I am the very last person to use food as bribery to do anything, but it was kind of like a bonus this week because I had said, and actually it came from other students. Students had said, hey, I did the ice cream shop and my mom said we could actually go to ice cream if I finished my work. So I shared that with the students, and now the students, I guess, went home and said, hey, Mom, if I finish my ice cream activity, can we go for real ice cream? And I think one of the dads was like, oh yeah. And the mom's like, hang on, where's the broccoli? So it's up to you how you want to use it. So yeah, bakery shop. So we do things that are fun, engaging, exciting. We did rebrand the coffee shop. One of the person that developed these, we've been working with her, and she gave us special permission to take coffee out, put cocoa in instead. So anyway, yes. So I think that's Shelly. I forget her last name, but there's a direct link to her stuff if you would like more of her labs as well. Yes, because it takes a village to raise a kid, doesn't it? Okay. All right. We've been working on the resources as well as the classes, a refresher and strengthening foundation. I find they know more than they thought. Yes. Yes. Yes for the link. Okay. Hello. I'm an 8th grader who signed up for algebra geometry. We are not feeling comfortable without a daily lesson plan. We have always had that. Yes, there is a math assignments outline for geometry as well. Here, let me give it to you. So for geometry, session number 1, I hope I'm logged into my own website or this will be embarrassing. Here we go, geometry, session number 1. Okay, so for, yeah, sure, let's do geometry. Okay, so you'll find the parent video always at the top, just tells you what to expect for this session. Remember, for algebra and geometry, it's going to take several weeks because there's between 40 and 60 videos on this page, and some of these videos are almost an hour long. So expect to take your time with this. Do you see where it says math assignments outline for this session? Okay, so open it up. So because I don't know, I have not personally met your child. I don't know what they already know. I mean, if I spent 5 or 10 minutes, then yes, I could customize this for you, but I don't know that. So I'm giving you everything. I'm saying, okay, if they've had little to no geometry, start at the beginner. And you can give them the 2-page test. They can test out of it. If not, then you're at the beginner level. And then we also have intermediate, which is once they've got the main concepts, then they're going to work to the intermediate. That's where the bulk of the program is in terms of, well, I shouldn't say that. The bulk of the program is actually in the beginner because that's where the concepts are. And also the workbooks is the backbone of the program. The intermediate has a lot more work, like handouts and puzzles and games and challenges and projects and activities. That's where the intermediate section is. And so you would print this out. And then as you complete one, you can check it off. You don't have to do them all. So there's a lot of overlap here. So if your student is not so much into games, but they really enjoy puzzles, or they're not so much into, what a project, but they like this sort of thing instead, they like puzzles and games instead of actual lab worksheets, that's fine. Do those instead. So there's a lot of overlap. So this is a buffet. You pick the assignments you would like to do. Does that help answer that question? Please let me know if it doesn't so I can help. Okay, let's see. We have been working on the resources. Oh, wait, I did that one. 4-digit multiplication is difficult for my child with significant visual. 4-digit multiplication, like mental 4-digit, that's difficult for me. Oh wait, I don't think that's what you said. See, I don't have my reading glasses on. Hang on. You ready? I've got my hot pink Aurora glasses. When I showed up to class one time, kids were like, Aurora, you look weird. Okay, so here we go. Oh, Oh, that's not what you asked. You said 4-digit multiplication is difficult for my child. Yes, and so kids will have different strengths, and we cover this in the packet, the downloadable packet. And if you download the big packet, it has in there some ideas for you about this. And so the main idea is, you ever have somebody who thinks they can back their SUV into a space and it clearly does not fit? Or someone who's in charge of saving the leftovers after dinner, but they misjudge the size of that Tupperware. Okay, so they don't have a lot of spatial relationships. Or kids who can beat you at just about any game, any logic game, right? Any game involving strategy, could be checkers, chess, Risk, any of those games, they can totally beat you almost every time. Okay, so that's their strength. So those both are math. People tend to think of math just as numbers, and being good at math means you can multiply quickly in your head. I'm sorry, that's not what I thought you said, but it's not. And so there's so many other areas of math. So just knowing what your strengths are is good, and then we will use our skills to help build up these other areas where your student is going to need more work. If you would like a really good resource from a professor at Harvey Mudd, he's actually going to be one of our special guests soon. It's going to be exciting. Where is his book? Here we go. He's the one who has that TED Talk where he's called the Lightning Calculator. He tells you every single thing he does. I found by giving, here, you can't see me big. This one's called Secrets of Mental Math. By giving this book to kids and working through, you don't have to work through front to back, but it's very loved and used in our family. I found that, and we write in our books, so I take notes. And so I found that this will also help kids make connections that weren't there already. So there are 4 levels to learning. When you memorize a multiplication table, that's rote memorization. That's stage 1. We need that skill because there are some things you really do have to memorize. Basic words like the, and so things like that in the English language we memorize. So you don't have to think about them each time. We memorize the multiplication table for a couple of really important reasons. Somebody asked why bother. It's because when we get into more difficult concepts in algebra, in calculus, and trigonometry, we will keep the numbers really simple so the student can focus on the math concept itself. And so in real life, those numbers are not simple. They're ugly and hard to work with. But when we're introducing a concept, we don't want the students to get hung up on the numbers. We want them to focus on the other thing we're thinking about. And so if they can quickly just tell me 10 over 2 is 5, fantastic, right? Instead of 10.3 divided by 6.8, that will hang up a lot of students, and actually a lot of college students too. So we keep the numbers simple when we're introducing a math concept, and memorizing the multiplication table allows that kind of learning to happen. So that's rote memorization. And then we go all the way up to correlation. So this is in the Math Parent Handbook, by the way, that I give you. We talk about this in detail. Correlation is where I am making new connections and coming up with solutions to things that were never there before. And that's the highest level of learning, and that's what we want to include. I can tell you now, most curriculum do not even touch that, because that is the most difficult type of learning to have. So this is a student that will be able to, this is the student that, for example, imagine a kid took away, I know, because this is just brainy stuff until you get an example. Imagine you got a kid who loves taking things apart, maybe not putting them back together, but loves taking apart toasters, printers, all that kind of thing, like appliances that are dead, right? But they'll just tear them apart, right? And they see how the gears work together, and they see how things, they get some understanding of how, let's just stick with gears because that's mechanical, how things work together. This rotation turns into like a back and forth movement with translation. All right, so later on down the line, say when somebody's, photocopier breaks, and they start to look at it, they'll get ideas like, oh, remember that thing I did 3 years ago? Okay, yeah. And then that thing Aurora said in class about energy? Okay, yeah. Now they're going to put these puzzle pieces together to come up with an innovative, creative solution that was never there before. So that type of learning happens in math as well, with numbers, with spatial relationships. And that's why, for example, if you've got a student who's struggling with fractions, I would say stop and start them on decimals. I would say stop, start them on geometry. Because the fractions will go to the back burner. It'll still be there. They'll still be thinking about it. But you'll give them something else to focus on. And having multiple things to focus on is often enough to release any blocks that are happening. and start to make new connections with things that you may have not even realized were there. So it's part of our development. We don't just learn in a box. Unfortunately, I know that's how a lot of things are packaged these days, all in one reading program, all in one this, right? But really, you learn how to read by going out with your parents and them reading signs to you or talking to you. That's how you learn language. So it's not all neat and it's not neat and clean. It's messy. It's all over the place. It relates to lots of other things. And am I making any sense? Okay, I hope I'm not going off topic. So I'm encouraging you. Yes, if you're struggling in one area, leave it for now. Start working on something else that is challenging for your student, and then circle back in a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then try it again and see how they're doing. And that's why in the geometry section, I'm no longer in geometry, and you probably can no longer see my thing here. We have hands-on labs every single week for geometry. Students are actually building solutions. So geometry isn't just happening on a two-dimensional piece of paper, it's actually happening like in front of them, and they are physically building something as a solution because that's where the math happens. Yeah, and so you'll see, I think they're near the bottom in geometry. Let's see, angles and triangles. So they do their packets, they do their projects, and then, let's see, geometric constructions. Oh no, that's the art project. We have some art projects in here as well. Here we go, math build. Okay, and so they're going to have some math challenge projects, flashlight laser maze. So kids are going to be building things like that. And they're going to be doing angles and doing all kinds of things that pulling concepts we just covered in class and putting it in the real world in a fun project. Oh, I've got behind on questions. Okay, if I didn't get the 7, 8 grade content, well, I need to get to the, so yeah, it's an annual membership. So if you're finding you're only using one and not the other, let my team know. Send me an email, aurora@superchargedscience.com, so we can adjust your membership. So you're just paying for the things that you're using. Yeah, it's just an annual membership. Again, this is new. This is the first year I've been teaching this content now that it's up. Okay, great. I saw practice tests at the end. Are they additional tests we'll be giving them? No, so okay. Good question. So the review at the end. So at the end of 7 weeks in grades 4 through 6, we are done with fractions. And so what we will do is we will have a math party. That is delivered live, not recorded because of the nature of the party itself. And I will do a review for 60 minutes with your students live in person. And so that's the review that happens. And so if your students are in decimals, but you'd like them to participate, absolutely. It's okay if they haven't been doing it. You're welcome to join us. And they're super fun. And there's a treasure hunt at the end, and it's super fun. So those reviews are done live. And then the written, because they're audio and they're kinesthetic, they're also like doing things. And they're also thinking, they're writing some notes down. So we incorporate, again, all levels. And then the review packet at the very end of each section is the practice test that we have. So you can use those as well. In the future, if you feel like your child would benefit from one gigantic test at the end, we can see about putting one together, but really we can. It's another test. I would rather have them actually using the stuff and doing the labs than just filling out another test. But if you need that above and beyond what we've already given, let me know so I can look into providing that for you. Good. Let's see. Is this still my question? 3 videos in decimals. Not sure, needing live. Christy, can you expand on your question? I'm not following. I must have missed it earlier. I'm sorry. Can you give me your question again? Okay. Will they work through all the sections by the end of the year? So grades 4 through 6 will work through units 1, 2, and 3. And also there are 2 brand new units that are coming out, which are not yet released. There's going to be another section for pre-algebra, just for grades 4 through 6, and there's going to be a non-algebra geometry section for grades 4 through 6, so there'll be 5. There's 4 units that the grades 7 and 8 will be working through. They're going to be working through a pre-algebra algebra, which is right now, that's unit 4. Unit 5 is geometry, and then, here, let me show you where it is while we're here. And then there are 2 bonus ones. Do you see where it says mini math courses? So here, normally it's up here, but I made the page big. Okay, so there's probability and statistics. Okay, so grades 7 and 8 will have 2 bonus ones. They're called probability and statistics, and these are, I'm not sure if we're going to get to these live this year. It depends, and so that's why we didn't publish the winter and spring yet. We want to see how fall is going. If we need to circle back and do more geometry or algebra, we will. And so, but these are up there now, and your student can work through them. Good. Okay, did I hear correctly? You are planning on doing pre-algebra and geometry for spring after percentages? Yes, we are, and that's for grades 4 through 6. Okay, for grades 4 through 6. Good. Okay, it looks like my daughter is not ready for pre-algebra yet, needs more practice with proportions and percent. You can. If you want to switch levels, let us know and we can help you out. We are staffed entirely by human beings. If you call and you get our answer machine, usually it's because I'm teaching like all the time. So leave a message, or the fastest way is really just to write me an email. Just send me a response to any email I've sent you. I get those. And then Tanya, Crystal, or Remy will be in touch and they can help you with your account. Okay, good. Why is day 2 video for week 1 and 2 the same video content? Wait, why is day 2 video for week 1 and 2? Okay, let's see. Maybe we can go into what you're talking about. So algebra session number 1 is 2 weeks long. Algebra session number 2 is 2 weeks long. Okay, so that's how we're taking 7 sessions and taking 14 weeks to do it. So algebra session 1, let me just show you. Here's the parent video, okay? This was me teaching last week, Monday. This is Doug teaching last week. You can see here, there's Doug. And then day 3 is me teaching this week, Monday. And then day 4 is the class Doug taught yesterday. Does that help? Okay, and then so that's this year's recording. Last year's recording, this is me teaching again, but these were recordings from when we started the program. And honestly, I watch those before class and I say, I wish I would have done it differently. And that's what the live ones are for this year. So if you want last year's content, you just go down to where it says, and I split it because it was a 3-hour class. So, and we had 90% of our students on for 3 hours. Can you believe that? That's longer than like a feature-length movie. Okay, so those recordings last year are available. I've split them into just the concept being introduced, that's beginner, and then practicing that concept being used, that's intermediate, and then the advanced section. We often would go for 45 minutes or so. So those are available if you would like them. Does that help? I hope that helps. Okay. My 9th grader is struggling with algebra. Would help that go 7th grade algebra. Yes. So 7th and 8th grade algebra is algebra 1. So it depends. Is your 9th grader doing algebra 1? Then it's the same thing. So, and we're doing pre-algebra right now. So right now, session number 1 is pre-algebra. Good. My children are beginning IXL. Is it best for them to do only learn one math system? It depends. It's up to you. If IXL is mostly drill, so you won't find any practical applications on there. The challenge with this one that we have found, just from experience, nothing against IXL, it's great at what it's designed to do. But if your student is only doing IXL, they're learning a different skill that we actually have found to be a negative skill, if you can think of it this way. Students get really good at guessing the answer on a computer screen, and that's not what math is. And so that would be the only thing I would say just to be aware of. It's great at just refreshing things if you use it just as it's been intended to be used. But if that's the only curriculum you're using is IXL, it's not a great way to learn math, because math is so much more than just picking the right dot and circling the right answer. It'd be like learning math through a multiple choice, right? Or even if they have to type in the answer, that's not what math is in its entirety. And so when they get to physics classes and science and engineering class in the future, they're going to be lost. So make sure you use it as it's intended to. It's a tool, like a knife is a tool and a hammer is a tool. You wouldn't use a hammer to unscrew a screw, right? So use it if your kid needs a little bit more than the workbooks are giving them and they like that format, that's great. Absolutely use it. So yeah, and same for the Khan Academy questions. Khan Academy is a video textbook, and use it. It's great. It's fantastic. And it's amazing that it's free, right? So many great resources. It's not the whole picture. And I hope you're getting that if you just learn from this one medium, that it's not going to be, that's why we have so many other things on here. So we have workbooks, we have labs, puzzles, projects, we have challenges, we have interactive ways, we have reviews that are live. So and we have, we're going to be connecting with experts in fields, so you can connect with them as well. We do that in the science program all the time because it's so multifaceted. I hope, making sense? Okay, I'm imagining you're saying yes. If you're not, you're asking me questions. We have to wrap it up. We've got 10 minutes to go. So here we go. Let me see. We tried to access Doug's video yesterday from under the correct date. Do you want to send me an email with a screenshot so I can be more helpful? You're saying Doug's lesson is not working? So here, Doug's class yesterday is Algebra, session 1. And then if you scroll down, if you go to day 4, you can see him here. Here, I'll put him on so you can see it. You can see the video plays. So he is day 4. So make sure you're looking at the right video. Day 4 math class. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm so sorry. So day 4 math class, and you can see Doug is here. Okay, and I love Doug. In fact, I searched him out and insisted that he work for us because I liked his style and his teaching methodology so much. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, good. All right, so other quick questions that are coming in. What are we going to do at the end of the year? Okay, so so it depends. It's up to you. And again, kids are all over the map. So if you're just going to focus on fractions this year, that's enough. So try not to cram too much. And sometimes if you are on the live schedule and you feel like your child is not keeping up, I want you to stop doing the live classes and just do the recordings. And I want you to go at the pace your student is at. And I want you to repeat after me, my student is not behind. So, and what I mean by that is often we overestimate what we can do in a year and we underestimate what we can do in several years. If your kid needs more time to sit with the content, allow that to happen because often there's more going on than you can actually see. So the processing that's going on, the connections that they're making, that stuff takes time. And if you're trying to pile too much work, well, you didn't finish all the workbook pages. You're putting too much pressure on yourself, on your child, and they're going to feel that. And then they're going to start to disengage, and that's not what we want. We work really hard to make sure your kids have a positive, happy experience with math. That's why I'm telling jokes and stories and make it fun and really want to inspire that love of learning because that is something they're going to take their whole lives. You know, if we just do that one thing, one thing with your kids they just come to you and say, Mom, I just love learning. I mean, what would that be worth to you? Right? Because they're going to be learning their whole lives. So why not? Let's do it now. So instead of saying, oh, we just got to get through this, we got to finish the last page of the workbook. You're not going to remember that workbook in 2 years from now. You're not going to remember the name of the workbook or let alone what it covered. Like, do you remember your biology classes or your math classes? Or pick a class you weren't interested in. Maybe you were interested in biology, so that didn't work. But pick a class you really didn't care about. Foreign language, history, math, whatever it is, right? How much of that stuff do you remember, right? But they kept jamming it at you, right? So that's not what we're after. I want you to remember a class that really impacted you. Okay, so for me, it was the first time I saw Saturn printed in a textbook in my science book when I was in 4th grade. I still remember that class. Why? Because it made an impact on me. And at that moment, I made the decision, I want to learn everything I can about that, about space, about astronomy. And my dream job was to be the operator at a planetarium at that moment. I was like, when the first time I saw that in person, I was like, at the Exploratorium in San Francisco, I'm like, that's me, that's my job. And that inspiration is what makes kids develop, what gets them to grow, gets them the juice to jump out of bed and say, math first this morning, Mom. Right? And we've heard these stories from parents. They come back and they tell me, you can read their stories. Do you want to know where? So their stories are here. Go down to any page, click on Our Students on the bottom here, Our Students. And these are the first 100 that got submitted. This is our team, Leah, Doug, and me. But these are real verbatim stories from parents just about using our program when it didn't exist 2 weeks in. So they only had fractions 1 and 2, and that was it. And this is the feedback that they got. So look at Our Students. It's a link. You can take a look at that. I was just so blown away. I should be adding more to it, but I was like just so amazed at the ahas that they were coming up with. I included some that were not ahas, just to be fair. Like, wow, your program really is hard for my kid. Like, okay, well, I included those too, so it'd be real. Okay, good. Let's see. Thank you. Great. Recorded video for decimals available now. Yes. And so what you want to do, and so go to the website, go to decimals, session number 1. So you go through all of the recordings are up. We did all of them. We spent a lot of time on this last year. Session number 1, the first one is for parents, what to expect. What is your kid going to learn? Here is the outline of all the assignments that you can choose to complete for the week. You don't have to do them all, or this session, I should say. Feel free to take several weeks if you need to. Here's the recording, beginner level. And here's the second part. We split it into 30-minute chunks. So this was Doug teaching for 1 hour, but I split his into 2. Those recordings are already up. Every recording is up for the entire year. So I'm going through it again and kind of redoing it and saying, okay, you know what, that was great, I need more here. And so the recordings this year are different than last year's. So if you need extra, feel free to watch both. Okay, so under Unit 4, Week 1 is the same video as, yes, I need more guidance. Oh, okay. CD, just send me an email so I can help you, okay? No problem, happy to help. Oh, my daughter loves classes with you. She went from hating math to wanting to do math first. Yes! Yay! I call that a win. Excellent, right? Once kids get their confidence back and they're like, Mom, I can do this. This is amazing, right? Or Dad, or whoever, right? Just that's what we want. We want them to get the gold, get that feeling, that aha, yes, awesome. Okay, I have a request for you. Is there a request that tells us what pages should be done in each session? Yes, so that is the workbook. Here, so this is the student assignment. So here, if you go to the parent video, you see it, math assignments outline. Let's just do it for decimals. This is for every single week. Can you see it very well here? It'll say decimals workbook number 1 with a direct link to where to download it, and it tells you what pages. And that's the page numbers that are covered in this session, which is, oh, it's too big, you can't see it. So this is math assignments for week 1 in decimals. You see, everything's outlined here. You just need to make sure sorry, I'm having trouble with my Zoom here. There we go. Okay, so these are the, for week number 1, session 1, these are all the assignments for this week. And then when you go to session 2, here, I'll show you. Let's go to, go to percent session 2, so that's where you are. You'll find the same format. So the parent video is the very top. You can watch that if you want. And then the parent gave me the idea. She goes, Aurora, it sure be nice to know what you were going to do before you were going to do it. And I thought, hey, what a great idea. So that's what the parent video is from. And you'll see there's math assignments for week 2, 4%. So all of this is outlined. Download it. And you can just have this up on the wall. Kids can check off what they've done, show you their work at the end. This can go in their binder if you'd like. So yes. Okay, parents, special assignment for you. Ready? Okay. Last request. I have a special request for you. I have 2 requests. Number 1, send me an email. Let me know how it's going. Let me know what your challenges are so I can help. If it's an account challenge where you're still struggling with the login box, I disabled that login box for the whole week, for the past 2 weeks, so you may have not noticed how easy it was to log in because you didn't need to. I just put it back up because we do need the content locked. And I have complete instructions on how to redo it. If you're still having trouble, please let us know so we can help. All right, if you're having other struggles and your student is struggling in some area, send me an email, stay in good communication with me so I can be helpful to you and your family. It's very interactive. This is not just a random textbook you pulled off the shelf. All right, this is a live person. We have live teachers, and you actually today in 4 minutes, so I got to get off, 4 minutes, there is a tutoring session. Oh, wait, we're not on Zoom, are we? No problem. Okay, I'll just stay on for 5 minutes just to be respectful of your time. And there is help every single week. I teach one session, so for about 45 minutes. Doug teaches for 60 minutes. And then you have the opportunity for the private study hall with Leah, which is happening today. So that is, so you have 3 opportunities with live people. So, and you can, during Leah's study hall, you can ask her any question you like about anything. Totally fine. All right. Request number 2. Parents, do you know of a family or families that would benefit from our program? And there's, let me clarify that. If you know of a kid who is struggling with math, a kid who is just, because we all know somebody who's struggling, right? It could be financially, or it could just be mentally struggling, and you know they could be doing better. Will you please share our information with them? We also have a scholarship program, and so we have many families that have been generous and have donated to cover their costs as well, to provide, so we can provide private scholarships. So just knowing that, we only have a few of these, so we reserve them for people that really, really, really need them. So please let me know, let them know, just give our information to them, whoever it is. And honestly, our program, if you get it at the discount, if you go to superchargedmath.com, it includes a discount that is cheaper than most other math programs out there. So, and the program should be priced in like the $400 to $600 range, but there is a discount that will give it to you between $87 and $150, depending on which option you choose. So, so please, please, please do make good use of us. Spread, because this is new, the only way this is going to reach and make a difference to these kids is through you. And so if this is something that really has made a difference to you and your family, I would ask you to share it with other people as well. And if people are struggling, they let us know, and we take good care of them as well. All right, so if that sounds good, I'm just assuming you're smiling at me. All right, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for being here. If you have questions that didn't get answered, you're sending me an email right now, Aurora at superchargedscience.com. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you for the honor and privilege of being your students' coach, teacher, mentor, guide, for all of this. And that's not something I take lightly. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to get on Zoom right now with Leah. She is going to do a study hall for grades 4th through 6th. And then in 1 hour from now, she's going to do the study hall for grades 7 and 8. And so she'll answer any questions from any part of the math program, but try to keep it between 4 through 6 for the right section. Okay, so if you have opted for that, go ahead and click your Zoom link, and we need to turn this over to Leah. Is there a live math study hall or science? It's math. It's for math. Yes, it's extra math help for students that need it. Yeah, exactly. And so good. This has been an amazing blessing. Yay! Okay. So Air Discount helped us tremendously. Thank you. My pleasure. Honestly, it's my pleasure. And you guys are making it possible for me to make the program even better. So imagine what this thing is going to be like in like 4 or 5 years, right? Yeah, so eScience is so good. The science program is so good because I've been working on it for like 15 years. So, all right, I have to sign off. Thank you. It has been truly a pleasure. Let me know if you have questions, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.